it seems like the Genesis really thrives on communicating a vibe really well. And so I think that's why so many of these like Sega Genesis games are so fucking frightening. Because the music is so scary. Welcome to Mario Kart. Choose your player. Now I'm just doing an impersonation of Mario Kart 64. This is a terrible first impression. I'm sorry, everyone.
Welcome to the podcast where we impersonate the soundtracks of N64 games.
That is honestly a significant amount of content in this podcast.
You know, you're not wrong. I said it as a joke at first, but then I realized the dark truth.
There is parts of that in here. We pretty regularly will just sort of sing over whatever bad soundtrack is in an N64 game.
We're just very musical folk.
Yeah, that's the explanation.
Chase was in a band. I was in band.
You were in band. Yeah, not even a band. Band.
You were in a band. I was band, okay?
I was fucking band.
Shoot it straight in my veins.
Let me hear that saxophone weep, David.
Did you
ever learn how to play the sexy saxophone, dude?
I never learned, but like I just messed around one day and I was like, okay, that's how you play it.
It's pretty close, yeah.
Yeah, it's not hard, I don't think.
Yeah,
you just gotta add like a little bit of a trill to it, a little bit of a hip thrust to it.
Hey, that's on our only pods. That's the sort of content we get over there, but this is a different medium.
Only pods. What kind of content will we have on an only pod, Chase?
Well, we definitely would record the podcast in sort of like scantily clad outfits. It's not going to come through really in like an audio format, but the audience would know that I'm wearing like a cool like silk gown or something.
They would just hear like a little ruffle on the background for a second.
Yeah, that's the silk.
He is wearing that silk.
I would, only hush tones, like very low. It's approaching ASMR, but
I was about to say ASMR cast.
Yeah, it's close. There's also like a dating simulator ARG in there somewhere.
Whoa.
So there's that, yeah.
All right. Now we're getting real fancy.
Yeah. You and I create Chavid to find a significant other, and so the audience can chime in and date Chavid.
Chavid? Benby?
Chavid Benby. Either that or Dace Olavides.
Olavides. From Nicaragua.
Yeah, just an entirely different place.
Yeah.
Not where we come from.
not where we're from at all.
No. Well, it is Video Game Podtimism, David. The regular podcast, not the only pods.
No one here is subscribed to our only pods, so
no one. In fact, no one. Not only no one here, but no one is subscribed to it. I tried to, and the content was quite abrasive.
Yeah, we honestly even offered to pay people to subscribe to our only pods, and they still said no.
Even that didn't work. So yeah, we're probably going to shutter those windows pretty soon, but this one's fine. This is Video Game Podtimism. It's the Optimist video game variety show where two best friends talk about the wonderful world of video games. My name is Chase, and today is not my birthday. It's just a true fact.
Okay. Sure. I'm David.
Yeah.
And I'm wearing a sweater.
Okay. Now we're getting somewhere.
This is just also a fact.
Factual statements as the flavor text for the week.
It's a very comfortable sweater.
Yeah, that looks nice. Hugs your bod nicely.
Hugs my bod in all the right places, you know? Mm-hmm. This is getting close to only pods right now.
Let's weird Monday energy we're bringing here.
Move on. My oven was just on fire a second ago, so it's just a weird day.
Yeah, sure. And there was a mysterious cat who showed up in her house.
Mysterious cat. It was like Breakout. Breakdown?
Breakdown. And Breakout. The sequel to Breakdown.
Yeah, that's the required reading for the podcast this week, everybody. I hope you
played Breakdown.
Read the syllabus.
There will be a quiz. David, have you been playing video games?
Yeah, I have been.
Would you oblige me and tell me about them?
So I've been kind of predisposed this past week.
In what way?
I had 3 days of work and then I went on vacation.
Hell yeah. Okay.
So I didn't have a lot of time for video games, but I did play Overwatch a little bit. Mm-hmm. I missed out on a sweet Rocket League gaming sesh with the bros.
Oh no. Tragic.
Sad times.
Yeah.
and I have downloaded both Abzu and Subnautica, and I'm ready to dive in.
Wow, hell yeah. I'm going to play a lot of sound effects over that part.
I feel dirty about that one. I feel bad. I'm sorry, everybody.
We're either going to gain or lose 5 subscribers, and I'm not sure which.
We'll find out.
Yeah.
Find out next week. So yeah, that's kind of what I've been doing. I really haven't been playing that much, which is weird. It's the first time I haven't played video games for a while, because it seems the world is opening back up a tad bit.
Yeah, you're a fully vaccinated human being because you're a frontline worker,
I am.
as it turns out. So you can mostly, there's a lot of life that you can return to.
Yeah. Still wearing masks. Don't worry, everybody.
Well, sure. Yeah,
Still
you're a responsible human being.
Not going around like licking things or
sharing PlayStation 2 controllers. Or,
blowing
into other people's 3DS microphones.
Yeah. Game stuff. I haven't been doing gamer blowing stuff. What is wrong with me tonight?
Your oven was on fire. We established that it's bringing a weird energy.
My brain is...
I mean, I hear that, but also I think the best part of video game podtimism is that we take everyone as they are.
It's true.
Including you, David.
Yeah. Thank you for still accepting me and letting me be on the podcast, even though I haven't been playing video games this past week as much as I should have been. But I did play a good couple rounds of Overwatch last night, which was good.
Hell yeah.
After my long drive back to Santa Barbara from Sacramento.
That is quite a drive.
Yeah, I hit a lot of traffic this weekend. Everybody else is all out and about too. Everyone's ready.
The other amount of California that is vaccinated is out driving and having a good time.
I mean, no.
Probably some of the ones who aren't as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're out there. It's a painful experience right now.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I'm totally here for you. Just sort of soaking in your video game experiences and getting stronger for the future.
Yeah. To be fair, getting to my destinations this weekend, I did have to use a lot of my driving skills from like Need for Speed to get there in any sort of
drifting,
timely fashion. Yeah, drifting,
nitrous using.
Yeah, all Subarus come with nitrous.
Escaping the pursuit of law enforcement.
Dude, I lost so many pigs over the weekend. It's great. Just threw my banana peel out, made them skid out, crash.
Wah!
550 car pile up behind me.
I'm trying to think of all the sounds of characters in Mario Kart when they get hit with a banana.
Let's do Donkey Kong.
Yeah, I'm happy to hear that you've been soaking in your video game experience.
What have you been playing, bro?
Some things. I am on a march to beat Persona 5. I think I am getting closer.
I've been seeing you just all you've been playing.
Yeah.
Every time you're on PlayStation. Persona.
It's, I'm like definitely getting through it. I suspect that, so I'm getting what I think is closer to the end of just normal Persona, not Royal. Like this would be the end of what the normal game was. I'm still not quite there yet, but I'm in what I think is the final palace before you get taken in by law enforcement at the beginning of the game. So things are almost lining up. Yeah, still incredibly enjoyable. I just love this fucking video game, man.
Nice.
The longer it goes on, the more time I spend with it, the more I really like it. And I had known that I'd like this game, but I don't think I had really understood the extent to which I would enjoy it until I've gotten this far. This is definitely the farthest I've gotten.
So you liked the game before, but you didn't like it until now.
I didn't like it, and it didn't send me back a piece of paper that says I like you back on it.
One written I like you is worth 2 spoken I like yous.
Yeah, absolutely. You've got it in writing. It's binding law at that point.
Pretty much. Middle school law.
So, it's quite enjoyable. What else to say about it? I mean, that's it right now. It's just really good. I'm interested to see kind of how it wraps up and how it, finishes. Those are my only thoughts on it right now. I think I'll have to wait until I'm like done with it to really like put a pin in that.
Yeah, you're ready to see how it ends. To formulate something more about
exactly.
it. Yeah.
I am also trying my darndest to beat Loop Hero.
Hard?
It's challenging. Yeah, there's a lot of grinding towards this part of the game. Of like, I need to go on a run to just get resources. That is the only thing I need to do because I'm not beating the boss. Like I'm not really getting close at all. And so I need to like upgrade my overall like strength. I need to upgrade like how much potions do.
You'd be grinding right now.
Yeah, exactly. I unlocked, what is it? The Alchemist, which is actually making things really easy. You can like turn one resource into another in a certain way.
You unlocked an alchemist?
Yeah, I did. It was very good.
You unlocked the alchemist?
I unlocked the novel, The Alchemist. Yeah, so it is, I think I'm probably getting closer. This game has definitely turned into like watch a stream of something and also do this kind of, or listen to a podcast and do this kind of. I would like to beat it because I think I do enjoy this game, but it has probably worn on me a little bit in just the sense that it does have a lot more grinding than I was expecting it to, but I don't think that discounts the experience as a whole. It's just a lot of what I'm experiencing right now. So yeah, what else? Last week I talked about beating Advanced Wars 1. I've started Advanced Wars 2 on the RG351P. It is good. It is better than the first one, I think. There's a lot of like UX changes that make it a little bit more enjoyable. It's by and large like the same game. Like there's not that much that's different, but I think the things they changed are for the better. There's a lot more people you can play as, so that's fun to sort of like change up that dynamic because every one of them has like different numbers that are going to affect like how you have to approach any given battle. I got to the level that I was absolutely stuck on the first time I played it, like 15 to 20 years ago at this point, and beat that very quickly. So I am seriously wondering what was going on at the time, that I just like did not understand how to play this video game.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's pretty good. Again, the thing I will echo every time we talk about this, the game looks so good for being a video game on the Game Boy Advance. It just looks phenomenal. I'm always shocked that like this is what came out that long ago.
Nice.
So yeah, I am also playing Monster Hunter Rise, David.
All right.
This is the Monster Hunter game that just came out for Switch. Let me see. I actually don't know this. Have you played any of the Monster Hunter games?
I played the demo for Monster Hunter World.
Sure.
It was back when I didn't enjoy the big sword swing slowly type games, but now that I've played Demon Souls and Bloodborne, I might give it another chance at some point. See if it clicks.
Yeah, I definitely liked like FromSoft games while trying the past few Monster Hunter games, and it just never really clicked with me. I think some of the mechanics are so dense that like I almost need to go like look up how to do a lot of them. Like just the sheer amount of like prep that you need to do before you go actually like hunting things is really intense. But it's, from what I understand and so far what I've played, like they've streamlined quite a bit of that in this one. So like you just kind of don't need to like mess around with as much of it this time.
Okay.
It's been really fun so far. Like it's definitely Monster Hunter, right? Like you take a quest and you go out and try and just like fight one, and it takes a while. Like the monsters do not go down easy. You really have to like pursue them and like fight them for like probably 20 minutes or so.
Wow.
But like I think once you sort of get used to that rhythm, it is really enjoyable just to like try and like deck yourself out with the best gear and like go hunt something and, you know, just kind of wander around and zen out for a little while.
Yeah.
The matchmaking is a lot easier in this one. I believe, I can't remember where I heard this, but I'm pretty sure that this is one of the first games that Nintendo's new like Nintendo online infrastructure is being rolled out for.
Oh.
They had built like essentially a new online architecture for their games, right? Because I can't remember where this happened either, but there was like some explanation of like, I think it was when Nintendo like leaked like last summer or something like that. Like there's a big leak of all this data, and it came out that they were like still using their like online infrastructure from like the Wii or like whatever, like just old tech. And I'm sure you've experienced that, like trying to play Smash Bros online before. Like it's not good.
It's not good.
It's not good at all. But it's much easier in this one. Like not really having to mess around with friend codes too much, and just mostly being able to say like, hey, I would like to join a game is pretty easy.
So do you have to play with others?
Not necessarily. So like the point that I'm up to right now, you don't. You can definitely do it on your own. My understanding from people who have played this a little bit more is that eventually you will need to, sort of in the way that like a World of Warcraft or something would work.
Like get band together to take down a monster.
Exactly. Yeah. Like you need more more people to do it. And I think, you know, in the case of something like WoW, it's like, it's really easy in that game to find a group of people to do like a dungeon with very quickly. And I was kind of hoping that Monster Hunter would eventually go that direction, just because, you know, the online experience for a lot of Nintendo games is pretty challenging. And so like wrangling enough friends to play that can be sort of a challenge unto itself.
Yeah. Tell me everybody's friend code.
Yeah, exactly. It's not easy. I also just don't have a ton of friends who play this game. So like just getting enough people on board in the first place was sort of hard, but you know, just being able to like quickly group up with whoever else is on the quest is pretty useful.
Yeah, it's not the whole Stink Squad isn't playing this game, right?
No, the Snake Squad's playing Halo and fucking Rocket League. Like, I'm not about to be like, hey, do you guys want to pick up Monster Hunter with me? Like this game that you might not like, but it's also full price $60. Like,
sure.
It's, you know.
Quick sidebar. Do they know that they're the Stink Squad now?
Yeah, Garen changed his tag in game to be Stank without the A. So they do know.
Hell yes, Garen. What a guy. Truly the hero we needed.
I know, it's true. He's the hero of time, if anyone was. So, yeah, I haven't put like hours and hours and hours into this game, but I really want to. Like, Monster Hunter is one of those series that I just have not cracked yet.
Yeah.
I've tried them so many times. I can't tell you how many Monster Hunter games I've played, tried, and just been like, I don't think this is for me.
I don't get it. Yeah.
But there's just so many people who love this game, and like people whose opinions I like generally really respect and like think are just like, you know, a fan of the series. They're like, no, this is a good video game. So I'm determined to try and at least give it a fair shake.
No, that's the right thing to do. If I didn't try that with The Witcher, I would not have enjoyed it so much.
Yeah, that's very true. Similar situation for me as well. And then the final game that I've been playing is this game called The Tenants. This is an early access game that I found on Steam. It's how do I describe this? It's sort of like the game loop is that you are a landlord and you initially buy properties and you want to like fix them up for people to rent them from you. And you can also take on like sort of odd jobs of like, hey, I need this room renovated to be, you know, somebody who can rent this place, or this needs to be like a bathroom. Can you renovate this place? The like gameplay of it plays very much like The Sims. Like there's a lot of DNA from The Sims in there of like literally how you take down walls and like how you paint things and change the flooring, and literally the menu for how you navigate to like a couch or something like that is very similar to The Sims, but it's almost the inverse relationship of The Sims, whereas The Sims is you're in control of one person and you can sort of mess around with homes. This one is you are a landlord, and so like you're renting to people who would be players in The Sims, essentially. It's kind of like that. It is.
So none of them are paying right now because of the pandemic.
So I do have thoughts about this. Before
it's good in there, huh?
Yeah, before I get there, like it is, if I'm able to turn my brain off, it is a really enjoyable game and like very satisfying to like go find a new property. It's like all run down. You like fix it up, clean it up, everything is like good, and you're able to sort of like change the floor plan to be like, okay, like I have this much space, I need to make like this into a 2-bedroom home with like a kitchen and a bathroom, and like sort of that planning part of it is really fun and sort of executes on the HGTV dream.
Sure. Yeah.
Where you're able to like, you know, renovate a house and make it into something else, which is...
They should do an HGTV VR game where you just get to do all like the demo stuff.
The demolition. Yeah, I think there is a game like this for Switch.
Really?
I forget what it's called, but yeah, there's like a game where you like just...
the game.
Pretty much. I'm sure they have a video game tie-in by this point.
I'm pretty sure they do. At least an app game, you know?
Yeah. But anyway, it's fun. It's a little bit more mechanically dense than I think I would expect this kind of game to be, which is a good thing. Like there's a lot to sort of like, you know, sink your teeth into. If I turn my brain on, it's a little bit more painful to like be a landlord and charge people money. Like there are just so many points where it's like it kind of feels bad. Like I've been on the other end of this relationship before, and I'm like, I don't necessarily know that it's enjoyable to be in the one that I'm in here. Like you'll get texts from people who live next door to one of your tenants, and it's like, hey, they're loud as fuck, and you're like, okay, and then you have to like text your tenant and be like, hey dude, please turn the music off, it's so loud.
I'm triggered.
I know.
I'm triggered so bad.
That part of it feels a little rough, and like, you know, I don't think they're intentionally like trying to model it in a way where it's supposed to be painful. I think it's just like because living housing, being a tenant of some place is sort of a challenging thing to do in a lot of places. Like income is a really big problem right now for a lot of people, and so as a result housing is as well. And so it's like making a video game about something that's like, you know, working at a shipping factory, and it's supposed to be happy-go-lucky and fun.
Yeah.
And it's like the reality of this is really rough. And so like if you can divorce yourself from that part of it, it's a very fun game. You just got to make sure not to turn your experience of the real world on for that little part of it.
John and Tammy both have lost their jobs during the pandemic.
Yeah, like
you now have to evict them and their 2 kids out of their apartment because they haven't paid for the last 5 months.
Yeah, like evictions suck. Calling the police in this game suck.
God, why? This game doesn't sound fun. That doesn't sound enjoyable.
So like, yeah, like this part of it is the hard part. And like, generally I'm trying not to analyze the game very hard in that way. Cause like this video game isn't going to go to like Tenants, right? Like big tenant or big landlord isn't going to cash in with this video game. It doesn't really matter in that way. I think it can just reflect a part of society that is sort of challenging, and like hopefully will make some people who play it be like, this kind of sucks for the people who are living here, huh? Maybe I should support some policies where folks can get access to more equitable housing than.
But is that the point of the game, or is the game just to be
definitely not? It's definitely
go
just
have
the
fun
Sims.
Evicting people and calling the cops on people who are breaking the rules?
So it plays much more like Roller Coaster Tycoon, in just like the way of like the spreadsheets aren't coming down in your favor right now, man.
Yeah.
And like in Roller Coaster Tycoon, that's fine, right? You just hire more janitors, or you shut down the roller coaster that isn't making very much money. It's just a lot closer to home when it's literally taking somebody out of their house.
Sorry, John. Spreadsheets say I gotta kick you out.
Yeah, dude. So
it's not me doing it, it's the spreadsheets.
It's the numbers. They're just not right. So I am enjoying the mechanics of the video game. I think that part of it is really enjoyable, but the sort of wider expression of society is a little bit grating to play through. But I still think it's a good video game. Like that part of it I think is really good.
Yeah.
I think I just don't like how housing is done in the real world. And so this video game's like sort of modeling that, and it
Fair
sucks.
enough. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, this is all going to bring me to my Podtimists thing of the week, David.
What is it?
It is the Haunted PS1 Demo Disc 2021.
Excuse me?
Yeah, dude. This is a cool thing.
What?
So
that was such a long name. The Haunted PS1 Demo Disc 2021?
Yes. This is an annual release, it seems, at this point. So I was not aware of this. I had played a couple of games like what are included in this. Let me back up. The Haunted PS1 Demo Disc is a collection of demos for video games that are in the sort of haunted PlayStation 1 video game genre that has sort of popped up in, to my experience, the last, 4 or 5 years.
Oh, like those indie games that you've played. You talked about them a couple times.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. So Bryce Butcher, I think, is one of the like bigger names in this scene at this point. And he had made Fatum Batula, which I had talked a little bit about.
Yeah, that's
way
the one
back
I was thinking
when.
about.
Yeah, which was phenomenal. I really liked that video game. And he has a game in this one as well. It is called Protagoras Bleeds, which was definitely like, I was looking forward to this release just because I had liked Fatum Batula, and so it's got this like demo of this game, which is just so frightening and so good. It has a lot of Silent Hill and it has a lot of Resident Evil in it.
Yeah,
definitely the art style, but just like sort of the mechanics of the video game in that way. Deeply frightening. You like show up to this like motel. You're essentially trying to skip town with this friend of yours, and your car breaks down in front of this motel, and so you like try and stay there over the night, and like shit just breaks bad very quickly. But it's so good. Like the tone of it is so frightening and so scary in a way that like really only a PlayStation 1 game could be.
Sure, yeah.
But there are a lot of games like this included in this collection. And so it's essentially like, you get a demo disc from, Game Informer or what the fuck ever.
Yeah.
But it's just like a download. You can just go download this.
I love that.
Yeah, it's really good.
I miss those demo discs.
Me too. I love the presentation. I love like bundling it like this because it gives exposure to games that I would absolutely not have heard of, but are sort of grouped with games that I probably would have. Like I follow Bryce on Twitter, so like I certainly would have seen this release for him or from him. But there's a lot in here that none of it was on my radar. So it's all just so good. There's this game called, I think it's Walk. It's this Japanese made game from Kazumi Games, Kazumi Studios, I think. So scary. It like seems to combine like sort of FMV sort of like backgrounds. Like it looks to be just like real pictures of Tokyo or Japan, I should say.
Yeah.
But then they have like some characters that are in it. Let me actually show you a little bit of this.
Yeah, let me see this. It sounds very interesting.
So it looks like just like pictures of actual Japan, but they've got like some 3D renderings in here. You play as this little girl, which is definitely like 3D. And at some points this like monster will show up and pursue you. And like, yeah, it shows all this on the screen. Hide quick, don't be seen. And then this thing shows up.
That noise
so scary.
is not okay with me.
No, dude.
I am not okay with that kind of noise. There really is something about PlayStation 1 horror games that is deeply disturbing.
It's so scary. I think it's like because so much is left up to your imagination. And like it's really in the uncanny valley where like you absolutely know it's not real, but like it's still very scary. I don't know. It's hard to describe, and interested to sort of like dig into this community a little bit more because it seems like there's a lot of people doing this right now.
Interesting subgenre of video game.
I know, yeah, and I'm so happy it exists because I was so into the games like Paratopic and Fatum Batula being the two that I was like really into. And there's like 15 video games in this demo disc, so I'm like really into trying all these out and seeing what's going on.
Let's see. I'm ready to hear your opinion.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure they're all great. I think part of this genre that is really cool is that you can do a lot with like very little. Like a game can be very scary without having to be very complex.
Yeah.
Which is, I think, a really cool thing and a really fun thing to sort of explore of like, you know, how am I able to do something that is incredibly frightening without having to put years into a video game?
It's all about the vibe.
Really, though, yeah. And like I said, I think this sort of texture of the PlayStation 1 just lends itself a lot to it being a very scary experience. So yeah, I'm loving the demo disc. This is apparently a thing last year, too. 2020 had one that Fatum Batula was included in. So
where do you get it?
You can just download it on the internet. The one that I'm looking at is at hauntedps1.itch.io/demo disc 2021. You can just Google it too. The haunted demo disc PlayStation 1 2021. It'll definitely pull it up.
All right.
Give it a look. This community seems really cool. I need to dig into it. It's also like incredibly young. Like the developers who I've like seen linked to this are like 20, 21. Like
whoa,
single developer folks.
They weren't alive for PS1.
I know. That's what's really fascinating to me. Is like you know, if you're 20 years old at this point, PlayStation 1 was pretty much before you were born. So
it was like our SNES.
Yeah, absolutely. And so I'm like, it's interesting that is something that is being returned to, especially if you're a young game developer, because like I understand the connection because I played so much of this and it was so scary to me. And so I agree that it is frightening, but it's interesting to see that there are folks who maybe didn't experience it the first go around, see some kind of value in that aesthetic being something that they're pursuing.
It is a unique type of frightening.
Yeah. So yeah, that's my Podtimistic thing of the week. David, is there something fueling your sense of Podtimism?
Yes.
What is it?
It's funny gamer tags.
Gamer tags. Hell yeah. This is definitely a genre of gamer tags.
I just can't stay mad at someone who beats me in Rocket League when his name is Gary Oldman.
Yeah, that's true. That's very true.
Like, it's just funny. It's just funny. Like, I was playing with Trav and Jahan the other day on Rocket League.
Yeah.
And there was someone who we were playing, and their name was Squeeb. Squeeb. If you're listening, Squeeb, shout out to Squeeb.
Shouts out Squeeb.
But there was just something really funny about it.
Yeah.
And it's just fun, like, before we mash to, like, look at the gamer tags and be like, uh-oh, you guys, They have Squeeb. Squeeb's here, everybody. Be prepared. We're about to get our asses kicked.
It's a special kind of enjoyment when you're able to reference somebody by their gamer tag.
Yeah, it's great. It's great timing. You just joke about it and laugh about it for the whole entire match. Like, Squeeb's gonna get you. Squeeb's coming.
Oh, God. There was a period of my enjoyment of Halo 2 where I had my normal gamer tag, but I also had like 3 months of like Xbox Live for free, and you can't apply that to an old Xbox Live account. So I went ahead and made the gamer tag a scooter.
A scooter.
So that when you were killed in Halo 2, it would say you were killed by a scooter. Middle school me thought that was the peak of comedy for a little while.
That reminds me of the time that I played my cousin's version of Pokemon Red, and I was fighting Gary, his rival, and he named his rival a butt.
Got him.
So every time he threw out a new Pokemon, it'd be a butt.
Threw a
Charizard or whatever.
The imagery,
Got him every time. This game just keeps on roasting this fool.
In Dota and Steam specifically, you can change your name really easily. Like, your display name doesn't need to be something specific. It doesn't need to be unique, I should say. And so people can like change their entire team name to be something that's like specific unto itself. Like, oh, let's all be a member of the Avengers or something like that, in a very basic example. But like, it's just incredible what folks can do over Dota to really demoralize the team. Strike fear in the heart of your enemies.
Yeah, that was good.
Love a good funny gamer tag. That's absolutely true. Cool. Do you want to move on to our main thing, David?
Let's do it.
Cool. So you had suggested doing a good games on this one, I think a week ago.
Yeah.
So we're gonna do it.
We're here. We're ready.
We're here. It's Good Games, the segment where we talk about all the okayest games of yesteryear. Although I think we're just wading into doing any game of yesteryear at this point.
Kind of, yeah.
The segment has sort of shifted its identity to just doing games of yesteryear.
Because guess what? It's our segment, so we can do what we please.
It's true. We can do anything. We can even turn it into a segment about the old one, which we do every single time.
You're the one who brought it up first.
Yeah, it is. I fucked up. I committed the cardinal sin. The old sin.
The old the oldest sin.
So, it's Good Games.
Welcome
Talk about
to the old cast.
It's fine.
You made me do it.
I did. I called his name into this world. Tommy Hilfiger, you must come to our world. So it is Good Games, the segment where we talk about the okayest games of yesteryear. Gosh, all the things that we love about them, and sometimes reimagine what they might look like today, and sometimes not. Maybe sometimes we don't. But this week we were talking about a game called Jurassic Park for the Sega Genesis.
Straight up, no subtitle,
it's just Jurassic Park. Yeah, that's just the one. Yeah, it was an interesting inclusion because I definitely played this game more than I thought I had.
Same. Yeah.
Once we had like listened to the first couple title tracks in there.
God, the music is good.
I know, quite frightening. I've got some notes on this, David. But before we get too far into it, let me hit you with a few hot stats, David.
Let's hear it.
Hot stats.
So this game came out in North America August 10th of 1993.
Oh.
Bit of an old one. The Genesis is older than I thought it was.
Bit of an old one.
An old one. I didn't even mean to. The insanity is seeping into my mind. The Genesis is older than I thought it was. I don't know why I thought it was a little bit more modern of a console, but it came out in 89, so like it's
because its lifespan kind of bled into our earliest days.
That's true. So yeah, it came out August 10th of 1993, which was just a few months after the movie had come out. Jurassic Park the movie had come out June 11th of 1993. So
classic.
Yeah, but 2 months afterwards, which I think makes sense. Initially, I was like, why didn't they launch on the same day? But like, I think it actually does make sense to sort of like stagger your game release so that a bunch of people will have played it or watched it rather by the time they're playing the video game, or at least have access to it.
Totally.
I'm really glad we picked this one because we've been doing game studios that are like widely known and very available recently. But this one was made by a company called Blue Sky Software, which I'd never heard of before.
Me neither.
I played some of their games, but I just had no idea who this was. So I'm glad we can sort of like dive into these development companies that I just don't really know about very much. So they'd been making games since like 1988. They were founded by a man named George Kiss. Which I love.
George Kiss.
George Kiss.
What
love
a name.
That.
Little Georgie Kiss.
Little Georgie Key. Georgie Kiss. So they'd made a bunch of games, including Joe Montana Football, Basket Brawl, which was like a brawling basketball game. They'd made the Avoid the Noid game for Commodore 64.
Oh, okay.
They made Shadowrun for Sega Genesis, which was a very good game. They made Starflight, which was a sci-fi adventure game for Genesis, and also Vector Man. I don't know if you ever played Vector Man for Genesis.
No, but I heard of it.
Yeah, it was pretty good. I liked Vector Man. But not like huge, gigantic games, I think, by any measure. There wasn't one in here that was just like ubiquitous, like Nintendo EAD was last week, where it's like they made every fucking video game of all time.
It's Nintendo.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, they'd been making games for quite a while. I do have a review from the outlet Video Games from last week.
Again.
Right. I have taken their review, which I think was in Czech and Czechoslovakian, and run it through every language I could find in Google Translate until finally arriving back at English. So I've mangled their review up quite a bit, but let's hear what they had to say after we've destroyed it with Google Translate. They said, use this method to fully store and retain your profit, not Jurassic Park. It could be bad or good for Jurassic Park, but fans hate this movie after buying it. Spring friends want to wait for the seat. 66 out of 100.
So you buy this game and then you start hating the movie?
It seems like it. It seems like that's what they were saying, huh?
This game is so bad, I hate the movie now.
The movie sucks now. I do like that Spring friends will wait for the seat, though. That is quite nice of them.
Spring friends will wait for the seat. They will.
David, do you want to describe to me what this video game is? How do you play it?
Yeah, so it's a side-scrolling action game.
Yep.
You play as either Alan Grant, protagonist from Jurassic Park, a Velociraptor. So
it doesn't really specify which one, just a Velociraptor.
So I mean, easy to guess which one people played more.
You gotta assume it's the dino, right? Like,
yeah, you get to be a dino, you get to nom on other small dinos and attack people. Alan Grant's cool though because he does a pacifist run, which is pretty.
Yeah, it's all like smoke grenades and tranquilizer
like sleep grenades and
shit.
sleep darts and tasers and stuff. So yeah, he's a real dino homie. I mean, you got to be the dino. You gotta be the raptor.
Yeah, it's a lot more fun, a lot more visceral. So is that all of what this game is? Is there any more to it?
I mean, it's platforming.
Yeah.
It's a lot of platforming to it. So you have to like run and jump and try to get to different spots. You had to like pick up power-ups and stuff. There's one level where you're Alan Grant and you have to like get gasoline for your boat as you go down some waterfalls and stuff. And it just follows the basic premise of the movie after the T-Rex gets out and messes up your car.
Essentially, yeah. There's parts of it that are in the book as well that I read. Yeah. That weren't in the movie.
So it's more true to the source material. And then the dino part is just kind of, I don't know, an alternate story. Yeah.
I was pretty glad they included it though. It's a pretty interesting way to make the game.
Be the bad guy.
I think
is the final boss Alan Grant in that one? If you're the dinosaur? It is. That's funny.
Yeah. The ending of the Velociraptor run is, I think it doesn't show Grant dying. You just sort of like hit the base of these like dinosaur exhibits and make them fall on him, and then he runs away. But like after that, it shows you the Velociraptor climbing into like a crate that's being loaded onto a boat going back to like the mainland. And then it's like, you're gonna get out and get him. This little Velociraptor gonna get him.
I'm gonna find you, Alan Grant.
So yeah, I think that's it. It's chunked up into like levels. Like there's, I think, like 5 or 6 levels.
Yeah, there's 5 or 6 levels that takes you through the island. There's like the tree forest level. There's the waterfall level with the boat. Yeah. There's like a volcano level, like a power station level, and then like the level at the end, I think, is the museum, like gift shop level that everybody knows from the movie where the T-Rex busts in and roars.
Yeah, I think that's mostly it. It's like on paper a pretty simple game.
Yeah, straightforward.
Let's talk about what we love about this game. Shall we?
Let's do it.
What did you like most about this game, David?
It was like my first kind of scary.
Yeah,
my first kind of scary game. Yeah, the beginning with the lightning and the rain and the opening of the gates and the music.
Yeah,
very evocative and it's just the right amount of scary for a lad my age when I started playing this one. Probably like what, 4?
I don't know. I must have got my hands on this game definitely after it came out. Right? Like, I was not playing this at the time.
Probably like 4 or 5-ish, I think. Mm-hmm. Pretty young still to be playing a game.
Yeah.
Granted, I did not get far in the game.
Certainly not, dude.
It's pretty hard.
Honestly, I don't think I got past the first level when I was younger. I was looking at the second level, today. I'd played a little bit of it and then watched some people run through it. Essentially, I was like, I don't think I got to the second level at any point.
Yeah. Yeah, it was tough.
It was really hard. Yeah.
Yeah, so I really loved the scary tone, right? I loved dinosaurs as a kid, so I just loved anything with dinosaurs in it. I was obsessed with dinosaurs as a young lad, so that was definitely a plus.
Yeah.
I liked the animations. Mm-hmm. I liked that the Alan Grant had kind of the Prince of Persia-esque fluid animations for back then.
You're right. That is very Prince of Persia-y. Like the way he jumps and moves and
shit.
He
jumps, the way he swings, stuff like that. Mm-hmm. Not the same for the Velociraptor, of course. You can't really mocap a Velociraptor, but it still had some pretty sweet moves, like the jumping talon attack.
Yeah.
That was sweet.
I had looked up a little bit about this, and I think that the animations for the dinosaurs were a little bit of like stop motion. Like they had taken pictures, I think either props or like something from Jurassic Park to a point where they could like build it into the game, which I thought was really cool. It looked not photorealistic, but as if the source was coming from a photo.
Sure.
And I also saw that they did a like sort of basic version of motion capture for Grant. Mm-hmm. They had someone do those moves and essentially based the keyframes in the game off of that.
Yeah.
So like, they're essentially modeling what it actually looks like to sort of jump like that or
make it
slide
look fluid and natural and real. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Slide down a tree stump for like 20 feet into a pit of spikes and die.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. A lot of that. A lot of bad drops that'll get you.
That was my impersonation.
It's pretty good. It's like that voice line is just seared into our memories, I think.
Because I heard it so many times because I died so much.
It's a hard game. This game is hard. The tone of this video game, I want to talk about this a little bit, and the music is like the biggest part of this. I totally agree with you that they nailed the sort of like scary tone of Jurassic Park. Because the movie itself, like as an adult, I don't find it horrifying, but as a kid, it was so scary.
Yeah, it's a scary adventure.
Yeah, and I think the way this game got there was definitely through the mechanics, right? Like the dinosaurs are dangerous, but it feels like the music was a really, really big part of why this game was so like moody. And I was looking into like why that might be the case. And I eventually just kind of like fell down the rabbit hole on the differences between the Super Nintendo and Sega Genesis sound chips.
Fascinating. I want to hear more.
Yeah, I had sort of like, not intrinsically, but I think when you hear a Sega Genesis like song or soundtrack, it's from the Sega Genesis. Like there's a texture and a sound to it. In the same way that like you know that like, oh, this sound probably couldn't be coming out of a Super Nintendo or something like that.
Yeah.
And so I looked into it, and there is this chip that the Genesis used called the Yamaha YM2612, which produced all the sounds on it, right? Like, just as like a very surface level explanation of like sound chips. Sounds are just, represented through bits and bytes, right? And through a modern computer, you can pretty much recreate what the fuck ever sound you want because there's not a huge issue with like size, right?
Yeah.
You could include a full 1 megabyte sound of something very wild that is rich and intense, but with these older sound chips, they can only produce so many sounds because like it's just a limitation of the memory and the computation power of the system itself. And so, for lack of a better metaphor, you're essentially limited to whatever sound you can make out of the console. And so when people went to go make like soundtracks and music and sound effects and shit like that, they were limited by whatever the chipset on that console was. The farther back you go, like, if you can think about something like Atari, the sounds there are so simple. It's just, beeps and boops and shit. Whereas, by the time we were getting Super Nintendo and Sega Genesis, they were a little bit more complicated. And I think like a pretty good illustration of this, I had found this video by a dude who was playing soundtracks on various like sound chips. And like it's really interesting to hear kind of like what the different chips do for a different
How they
soundtrack.
sound, yeah. Their timbre as a chip, the chip timbre.
Yeah. Let me play the beginning of this song because I'm sure you'll know it. This is the intro music to Mega Man X, and this is on the Super Nintendo sound chip. For any of you who have heard the song, it's probably pretty familiar. Slaps for sure. The arrangement is very good. It's helpful here to listen to like the drums, especially. That's, I think, the biggest difference from one to the other. Okay, so anyway, this dude, Horace Crescino, I believe.
Crescino?
He had pulled out that and like rearranged it and played it on a Sega Genesis sound chip. So let me play this and you can hear the difference.
That bass.
The bass, that's the biggest difference. That and the drums, I think. But you can tell it's on a Genesis. Like,
Yeah.
if you've played any of the difference of these games, it's obvious.
Like the Genesis sounds like you got a full-fledged surround system, whereas the Nintendo sounds more like listening on your car radio.
A little bit.
I feel like just that the highs are more pulled out with the Nintendo, whereas this one the bass is more prominent.
Yeah. I think the highs here sound a little bit tinnier, and they're a little bit less focused than it is on the bass and the drums here.
Yeah.
I honestly think this sounds better than the other one. Like, it's a lot more driving and intense. Let me do another example, though, to kind of illustrate the inverse.
Let's hear it.
This is Super Mario World. This is, I think it's just the song from, like, World 1-1, essentially, in Super Mario World.
Totally.
And the melody here is, like, really important to the song. Like, that's kind of the driving thing here. Whereas in the Mega Man one, it was almost the sort of like the drive of the drums and the bass.
That's so good.
But let me play it on the Genesis one. Sounds a lot tinnier and not nearly as good to me.
Yeah. Like they really play down the high notes and play up the low notes with the Genesis.
Like, you can hear those bass runs really well.
A very different vibe.
Yeah, a totally different vibe. And so, like, it seems like the point being that I think overall the Nintendo sound chip really lends itself well to these like very happy-go-lucky melodies where like you can really attach to a melody, right? Like the bum 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 ba bum 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 gets stuck in your fucking ear because it's very catchy, and that's like the point of the song.
Yeah.
But in the same way that Nintendo is like a family-friendly console, right? Like, you want some very simple and happy music to play, despite the fact that none of this music is simple. It's just like, you know, it's catchy. It's something you can listen to. Whereas it seems like the Genesis really thrives on communicating a vibe really well. And so I think that's why so many of these like Sega Genesis games are so fucking frightening because their music is so scary.
You can really hear those low booming notes.
Yeah, let me play some of the Jurassic Park music here.
Yeah, that they're really taking advantage of the bass
Yeah, like it's just sort of all this very low and moody music.
and bongo. It's like moody bass line and bongo drums.
Yeah.
Spooky bongos with just the odd dinosaur noise in the
Dinosaur sounds. This song, frightening, David.
So vibey. With the seagull in the
Scary.
background. That's a spooky
Yeah.
seagull. That's like the in-between worlds map soundtrack,
exactly.
isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Or in-between levels, I should say.
It's so scary. Oh my god. So yeah, anyway, point being, like, I think you saw a lot more of these games being done on the Genesis because, like, or not because, but it helped a lot when you were trying to like feel out the vibe when you could make this kind of music that's like just so scary.
Yeah.
And like, to me, ages a lot better as far as like communicating the vibe, right? Like all of these Super Nintendo songs still get stuck in my head constantly, but like I feel like this game and like Splatterhouse and like Golden Axe and
Golden Axe,
Altered Beast, yeah, all of these like very interesting soundtracks in the background. That, Sonic, yeah, absolutely.
Like you could not have that fullness of those trumpets in Sonic on the
like just singing the doesn't make any sense without the like ding like going on behind the melodies. So yeah, it's interesting to sort of like I think distinguish how these games would have been different if they were even on a different like sound chip, even if the game was exactly the same. Like I think it's music was doing a lot for games at this time.
It really just filled in so much of what the visuals could not display. Which I think is why it sticks with you so much more than maybe music and video games now does.
I think so, because like you can just recreate like real instruments and like in games now, and so the choice to have like sort of an aesthetic or sort of have a sound that's not a real world instrument is literally a choice that you have to make, right? And so I think because of the constraint of these older systems, it like forced people to figure out, how do I communicate something with like this very limited range of instrumentation, whereas now it's like you have the entire world, and that's like almost more intimidating.
You now have the whole world.
Yeah, so you can do pretty much whatever. So it's interesting to think about this stuff. So yeah, I think going back to like what we love about the game, I think the tone and then the music is just like quintessential good stuff.
Totally.
I really liked that you could play as the antagonist. Like you could literally be the dude trying to hunt who you're playing in the other part of the game.
Same. I thought that was definitely a cool bit to the game, right? It wasn't necessarily done a whole lot back then, but it just... it totally changes the whole way you experience the gameplay, right? Instead of just knocking everything out, you're killing everything in sight, just chomping on everything.
Yeah.
Jumping hella far compared to Alan Grant's feeble human body.
Tiny little jump.
Genetically inferior.
People made a lot of big deals out of The Last of Us last year for putting you in the shoes of the antagonist, but look at Jurassic Park.
It all comes back to Jurassic Park, baby. All comes back to them raptors.
So yeah, I thought this game was cool and interesting, and like I have a hard time, I think, with Sega Genesis game design as a whole. Like it feels a lot less intuitive to me.
Why is that?
Think of a typical Sonic level, or especially the underwater levels. I think especially there is a lot of not necessarily knowing where to go, and I think this game does it too, where it's like I don't know if I need to like jump over here or go down. And
I'm in the trees. Do I go right? Do I go down? Do I go up? Where am I supposed to go?
Is going down going to kill me from here because I can't see anything below me?
And normal video games would tell you, yes, that will kill you. But in this one, no, that's where you're supposed to go.
And so like it becomes a process, like the mechanics become a process of sort of memorization of the map. And I think that's true for Sonic as well. And I think, where something, and again, this isn't specifically Sega Genesis, this was on Super Nintendo games as well, but I think like first party Super Nintendo games do this a little bit better, where it's like it's very clear where you need to be going. It's just sort of like, can I jump at the right time to like make this happen or something like that, right?
The challenge is the skill to get there, as opposed to figuring out I'm supposed to go there.
Yeah, or like being able to memorize 5 levels in a row, right? Like getting far enough into it and then being like, okay, so there's a velociraptor here that I don't see. I need to be careful for that next time. And so like it becomes kind of a time sink at a certain point. And like I don't think that's a bad decision. I think just it's harder for me. I think I have a more challenging time doing that because like people like Sonic, right? And I think Sonic the Hedgehog does this too, where it's like there's a lot of ways to get to the end of a level, but some of them, if you jump in the wrong spot, will lead you to a pit, right? Like some spikes that you'll jump onto.
Is this the end of the level, or will I die?
Yeah, exactly. So just in general, I think I find Genesis games a little bit hard to return to just because of that.
Sure.
It's an older way of making games, but I think this one still sort of succeeds because it is still very frightening. The music is still very good and scary, and Jurassic Park slaps. It's a fun time.
Didn't they make a Jurassic Park game recently where you're like the raptors or something?
I know that there was the game where you were like managing a Jurassic Park, which was pretty cool.
That is cool.
It like played out like Sim theme park and shit like that. So the most recent Jurassic Park game was Jurassic Park Evolution. I think this is the one where you manage the park. Before that, Jurassic World Alive, then Dinosaur Stampede.
Whoa.
Also, Jurassic World Facts.
Facts?
Yep.
Is that like an app game?
I think it is, yes. Jurassic Park Online Slot, of course. Slot machine game.
Obviously.
It's Jurassic Park, the game made by Telltale Games. What the hell was this?
Oh, there was that. They did Jurassic Park.
This. Anyway, yeah, that's all I really have to say about Jurassic Park. Did you have anything else you wanted to call out here? What was good about it or what you loved about it?
I liked tasering the big dinosaur.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. The taser was a fun gun.
The taser was a fun gun, especially charging it up and tasering things.
The run through I saw, this dude is just like not scared of Tyrannosaurus Rexes. Like just yeets a grenade at this thing and they're like, oh, that's enough for me. And then they just don't attack him. Yeah.
Just yeet it. And I liked the sound effects of the dinosaurs. They were very campy and funny.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially the T-Rex saying Sega in the beginning of the game.
I loved that. I loved that as a child. The first time it happened, I was like,
It said something.
I was tripping after that.
I do love the every game needs to say Sega at the beginning, but like do with that what you will. Love that. Love that.
Sega.
There are so many like variations on that. Mm-hmm. I wish I had like Aloy saying PlayStation 5 whenever I booted up Horizon or something like that.
Sony.
Abby just like punching the camera and saying PlayStation. the old one in Demon Souls.
PlayStation.
That's what he sounds like. Or Tommy Hilfiger.
Tommy Hilfiger.
Introducing 1080 snowboarding for the PlayStation 5.
They should do Silent Tommy Hilfiger.
God damn it. We didn't think of that one last week.
Silent Hilfiger.
Wow. Yeah. I'm really disappointed we didn't catch that on the first go round because out of context, this is going to make no sense. You're going to have to go listen to the last episode about 1080 snowboarding where we talked about Tommy Hilfiger Presents. But now
it's just
you're just in this episode.
That takes place all in a Tommy Hilfiger store. The whole game in there.
That would absolutely be bundled in the 2021 cursed PlayStation 1 demo disc.
Most definitely. Come on, Chase, get to developing. Let's go.
It's wild. A lot of these games were made in like a game jam, which I thought was very cool.
Oh, where it's just like, we're all going to make a game right now.
Yeah, like over the next 72 hours, you have time to make a game. Go. Anyway, yeah, cool. I think that's it for Jurassic Park, huh?
I think that's it.
We are on Twitter. If you would like to come interact with us there, we are at Podtimism. Come say hello if you would like to, or tell us about a podtimistic thing, or even a good games game that you would like us to cover. Always open to doing some more. Now that we have the power of the internet and emulation of games that we definitely own, we can play whatever the fuck you want us to play. So that's an option. You can also, a lot of you know us, so just text us if you want to hear something.
Yeah, what are your good games from yesteryear?
Yeah, absolutely. Want to hear it. So yeah, that's an option. If you would like to support the show, there are a couple of ways you could do that. The easiest is probably just going and tossing us a review on Apple Podcasts or whatever your podcasting host of choice is. Written or not, either one really helps us. So that would mean a great deal to us. You can also, if you have a gamer friend, you can show this podcast to them and be like, hey, do you remember that video game Jurassic Park? And they'll be like, yeah. And then you can be like, this cool video game podcast that I listened to just did an episode on it. Go listen. They'll be like,
these two chuds were talking about it.
They talked about it and I guess Tommy Hilfiger. I think they're sponsored by Tommy. We're controlled by Big Hilfiger.
big
Polo.
Hilfiger. As big as outer space.
The biggest polo controls us. Also, if you have made it to this part of the podcast, both congratulations and also thank you. We appreciate you spending your ear minutes with us here. There are a lot of video game podcasts and a lot of podcasts, so we thank you for being with us on this one.
Are you specifying ear minutes because they could be doing something else with like their hand minutes or their eye minutes or their mouth minutes?
I didn't, but that's a good point. I'm usually doing something else with my hand minutes while I'm listening to a podcast with my ear minutes.
Right.
That's a good point. I wonder what people are doing listening to video game podtimism.
Let us know on Twitter.
Let us know. And if it's something terrible, don't.
Yeah. Just don't. We don't want to know.
Just don't. I think that's it for this week. David, do you have any video game wisdom to take us out on?
Yeah, I do. So
Let's hear it.
you can either be an Alan Grant or you can be a Velociraptor. The choice is yours.
Oh, is that it?
That's it.
Wow, short and sweet. Listen, you can either save a whole island and maybe the world from dinosaurs, or you can get to munching.
Or you can get to munching. Or you could just eat everything and kill everything. You could. Would people like you? Probably not.
Probably not. I suspect not. If you're just a nasty little velociraptor chomping around with your bros. Aren't velociraptors like pack animals?
Yes. So the game is, factually incorrect, or at least the game as it exists in the Jurassic Park universe.
Mm-hmm.
Who knows whether they were actually pack animals in real life?
Sure. So you and your other nasty friends could go be a pack of velociraptors.
Yeah.
Skulking around, munching other tiny little dinos and hunting for humans.
Just make sure you find your Chris Pratt. You need your alpha.
That's true. So maybe you should find your Laura Dern.
Laura Dern.
Very hot with the kids right now, the Laura Dern.
That's Laura Dern?
Yeah, dog.
Wasn't she also the lawyer lady from Adam Driver Netflix movie with Scarlett Johansson?
Marriage Story?
Marriage Story.
She was.
That's the same lady?
Same lady.
Dude, I had such a crush on her as a kid.
Oh, absolutely. She was a heartthrob in Jurassic Park. It's a whole thing. So maybe we could refine this. You could either be Grant, but if you're going to be a velociraptor, be sure to find someone as cool as Laura Dern. David, what is happening to the side of you?
There's a spider. Garen, don't listen to this part of the podcast. There's a spider in my pod chamber.
Earmuffs, Garen.
It's too close to my computer to kill it. Can't smack it. I got no good smack lines. We're going to have to wait this one out.
I've got no good smack lines. End the podcast.
Sorry. Wait, no. Let's get this video game wisdom sorted out.
No, that's it. I've got no good smack lines. Find Laura Dern and be cool. Be cool with your world's version of Laura Dern.
Okay, cool.
Okay, bye.
All right, bye.